Well, hello, this is Mike from Music City. Welcome back to Rankin Records. Today we're going to go back to years as opposed to artists. They're the two things we've been doing so far. And going to keep chronological. We started out with 78, did 79, did 80. Now we're going to jump to 1981. And I got to be honest with you, I've been struggling with this one. I was able to come up with 8 that I would put on a list of my 10 favorite from 1981, but really struggled to find some other ones. And so I put, we're gonna have tied for last place in this, or tied for ninth place on this. I'm gonna have 3 records that I liked, but I didn't absolutely love, and I don't know what it was with 81 for music with me, but there's some great stuff here. Again, I feel guilty a little bit because I'm focusing on my favorite artists, but hey, when your favorite artist put out some really great stuff, it's hard to ignore it. Again, my disclaimer, I'm not a jazz guy, I'm not a soul guy, I'm not an R&B or a funk guy or a reggae guy. Mostly what I'm talking about is rock and pop stuff. And I think there's one tendency, I think in a lot of the comments I got and other people's lists and everything. And this is not a criticism, it's more of a style and taste. I tend not to lean towards the darker stuff, Echo and the Bunnymen, Joy Division, and those kind of bands. And I know they put out some great stuff, and I like some bits of it, but just not totally my cup of tea. So that's that. But let's look at these. And first, we're going to start off with this 3 we're going to call the 3 bubbling under. 3 good records that came out this year. I just don't think they were great. But I think in all 3 cases, they were kind of starts of better things to come from these bands. And the first we're going to go with is X's album, Wild Gift. Now, I believe this was their second album. The first album maybe was a little too punky for me, but I think as time went on, John Doe and Exene and Billy Zoom, they sort of got a little maybe more countrified in their music, and I didn't name the drummer DJ Bone Break. I remembered that. Bone Break, yeah, and I like the record. It's a good record. It's a good sound, and I really grew to love X a lot more later on. So X Wild Gift. The next one is Dare by the Human League. Here we're starting to get a little funky and a little, more, in the vibe of what sounds were coming. I think this was a great record. Had a great single on there. Of course the song that really got them a lot of attention, Don't You Want Me Baby. But I kind of like some of their later work better. But we'll put Dare in that this tie for 3 for the last spot. And then I'm going to go with Hall & Oates' Private Eyes. Big Hall & Oates fan. They kind of had a career lull, I think, for a while where the records just weren't, they weren't what they were cut out to be. And this, I think, really started a resurgence for my love of the band. Kind of got the hit machine, going again with Private Eyes. I Can't Go For That. Great songs on that. Private Eyes written by a guy here in Nashville, co-written by a guy in Nashville here named Warren Pash, who I see at Whole Foods all the time. Good record from Hall & Oates, mostly for those 2 really, really strong hits. Some weaker stuff on here, but again, just not enough love to really call it a great album. Now let's get into the, I always get screwed up on my count here. So we've got 8 here that I really thought were great albums. Ooh, you might have saw that. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go with number 8 here, and that's Pretenders 2. We did have the Pretenders debut on our list for 1980 and 81. Yep, I think this was just a great follow-up record. It's got some great songs on here, Message of Love, Talk of the Town. The band was still the original 4. Great album cover, by the way. I love the way they're dressed there. Also, they resurrected an old Kinks classic, I Go to Sleep. Just a darn good record. And they would follow up, in my opinion, with one more great record with a different band. And, I would say 3 great Pretenders records was what they gave us. Next, number 7. Stray Cats came out of England. They came over and did a little tour of America. I did see them in Austin at a club. They were great. You know, are Stray Cats one of those bands that we sort of resented their success when they became MTV heroes? Maybe, but still, you can't deny, I think, the greatness of this record and how it brought rockabilly back into our minds. Produced by Dave Edmunds. It's got Runaway Boys on there, Stray Cats Strut. You know, Rock This Town. It's just some great stuff, and you know, and they're great, and you know, they're still kicking at it today. Brian Setzer doing his Christmas shows, become very popular. I just think this was a great album, and it still holds up very well today. Number 6, the debut album by the Go-Go's. What a great pop record, and I got to see them on the tour for this, and it was in an arena. They really kind of peaked pretty quickly in terms of popularity. Great pop sound, great singing, great playing. Belinda Carlisle, the great front person. Jane Wiedlin, a great songwriter. I've always appreciated her songwriting. I love the song "Our Lips Are Sealed," and listen to the Fun Boy 3 version of her and Terry Hall. I think she's on it with Terry Hall, if I'm not right, but where, you know, they co-wrote the song together, you know, Terry Hall from the Specials, and, you know, it's really much more of a slower reading of the song, and I think you really get a great sense for how good those lyrics are. But the Go-Go's, and aren't they long overdue for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Come on, them and the Bangles, I think both, in terms of, you know, kind of lumping them together because they're all female bands, but they both are long overdue for recognition by the Hall of Fame. Number 5, Tattoo You. And I've been on record already, I think, to say, in my opinion, the last great Stones record, and just some great stuff. Start Me Up. I mean, come on, give me a break. Waiting on a Friend, Hang Fire, great songs. We got some great MTV videos back in the day. This was '81. The first time I saw the Stones live, I saw them at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas on this tour. And the show was a little spotty, but I really do think this is a great Stones record with some great iconic tracks from the Stones catalog. And like I said, sadly, probably, in my opinion, their last great album, and I know some people are going to take exception to that. Number 4, and again, we're getting in genres. We're rediscovering here, where the Stray Cats reminded us of Rockabilly Joe Jackson's Jumpin' Jive, brought back those swinging sounds of, was it the 40s? I guess. I feel a little misinformed there to not be able to tell you what decade were, but great songs by people like Louis Jordan, Louis Armstrong, Cab Calloway. Fantastic, a horn-driven sound. Look it on the back. You can see how the band dressed cool, and he had a band of horn players. And I regret not seeing the live show. I know there was a MTV live concert video, so I got a sense what is going on. But you know, just Joe did a great job here. Earlier he had done you know, Beat Crazy, where he did a reggae record that I wasn't too keen on, but I thought this was fantastic. Just a great thing to help us rediscover some great sounds, and he did it so well. So Joe Jackson's Jumpin' Jive at number 4. Number 3, we go with the debut album of the Blasters. What a great record this is. I go back and I look at it and I realize how every track on here is just solid. You had the combination of the brothers Dave, Alvin, and Phil Alvin. Dave, just one of the great songwriters in American history, and I really mean that with all sincerity. He's just written some real classics. And on here you've got Marie Marie and Border Radio and American Music, which are just fantastic songs. And he's also a great guitar player. The band was on fire. I got to see them several times live coming through Austin. And let's not forget the lead vocals by his brother Phil Alvin. Phil is just a fantastic singer, full of emotion. I just love it. And I guess it was about 2 years ago I was at a Dave Alvin show at the City Winery in New York, and I turned my head for a minute and was kind of looking at my phone, and all of a sudden I heard somebody singing, and I said, "Who is that?" And it was Phil. So Phil came out and sang with Dave. What a treat to see them back working together. And just, again, they put out a lot of great stuff after this too, but definitely one of the best debut records. So now we're down. We got 2 left, and I'm going to do something a little quirky here because they are my two of my favorite artists in the world, and they happen to have put out 2 fantastic albums in 1981. They also toured together in 1981, and there was even further cross-pollination. And we're going to look at Trust by Elvis Costello and East Side Story by Squeeze. The cross-pollination, Costello produced East Side Story, and we have a guest appearance of Glenn Tilbrook of Squeeze singing on From a Whisper to a Scream on this record. Two fantastic records. Come on. I mean, how can I not go with these two? A lot of people, pick East Side Story as Squeeze's best. I think it was my number 2 when we did the Squeeze rank, and I'm a fan of Archie Bargy, but so many classics on here. We got Tempted, which Paul Carrack, there's Paul Carrack, joined the band for this album, stayed with them for a while, sang the lead vocal on that at Costello's suggestion. We've got Is That Love, Label with Love. Oh my gosh, so many great songs on East Side Story. Costello did a great job with the production on it. And then Costello, we're going to call this a tie for number 1. I couldn't pick. And here we got Costello's Trust. So many classics from here on this record from Costello's canon. Clubland is probably the most well-known song. And also, we this was sort of a transition, I think, where Costello sort of gave us some more, let's use the horrible word, sensitive songs, where he kind of slowed things down, more focused on the lyrics. That we had New Lace Sleeves, Whisper to a Scream, Shot with His Own Gun, that fit into that category. Just a great record. I think there's some good sleeper tracks on here. You'll Never Be a Man, Pretty Words, Fish and Chip Paper, songs that I've learned to love as well. So that takes us through 1981. Okay, tell me, what did I miss? What would you add to this list? What would you take off of this list? I don't even know what's in 82. I haven't even thought about that yet. And I mentioned sometime we're going to start going backwards. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for paying attention. Please help us along. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share them on your socials. This is Mike from Music City signing off. Have a great Father's Day tomorrow. Adios.